but you're going to hear that I'm mad.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to hear that I'm mad. Slam! Grr! Like, I'm just cleaning stuff real loud. Yeah. Putting stuff away. Oh, I'm in your space. Oh, well, I got to put this away because it's out still. So, yeah, I'm just extra.
Welcome to
We grown.
Question mark?
I'm Shaun.
I'm Moyo.
I'm Jess.
And first things first, what had you feeling grown?
So a while back, after we did our husband's episodes, after we released our husband's episodes, I was asked, "How did you know that your husband was the one?" And I was like, "This is something you really be asking old people." Like,
Yeah,
you
man.
always want to ask, like, "Oh, how did y'all do
Tell us
it?"
your story.
Yeah. And I was like, so I was telling my story, and I was like, "Dang, we didn't ask this question on those episodes, which is crazy." So I'm going to tell you guys, and then I'm going to ask you guys to go ahead and tell, since we're still in this marriage series.
Yeah, sure.
But for me and my husband, Jess will tell you that there was a time where when we were dating, where I was really questioning, like, is this the person for me? He doesn't necessarily fit the things that I thought were what I wanted in a husband. So I had a prayer journal where I was writing down these prayers, and I literally would write, like, if this is not the person for me, like, let this man go. Like, figure out whatever it is to tell me. However you can tell me, God, tell me that this is not the person for me. And signs just kept happening that, okay, this is the person for you. And then after my husband proposed, I said yes. There was still some, like, doubts a little bit, and I had to get to Hawaii, right? And them tickets one way over $1,000. And so I'm like, how am I gonna get there? Like, up until this point, everything had kind of just been falling in line. Like, I would pray about something, and then it would instantly be like, girl, I'm trying to help you and you're not listening. So this situation, we were checking for days because I wanted a flight on a certain day so I could get there and we could get married on the day I wanted to get married. And then the night, maybe like 2 nights before I was supposed to fly out, I wake up in the middle of the night and I just randomly checked the app that I was checking for flights, and I saw a flight for like $400. And I'm like, I immediately called my fiance at the time. There's a flight for $400. And he's like, buy it now. Go. So I buy the flight middle of the night. When I tell you it's like 4:00 in the morning, maybe 2:00 in the morning, I probably still have the text messages about it. And he was like, buy the flight. And then I buy the flight. I go back to sleep. I wake up in the morning and I was like, was I dreaming? Like, did I dream this? Because it's no way. Like, we've been looking for these flights for days, and they've been expensive because they're last minute flights. And so I go back on the site and I'm like looking up the flight again. It's back to over $1,000. So I'm like, dang. Then I was like, wait, check your email. And I check my email and I have a ticket and I have the flight. And I'm like, that is so crazy. And I'm just thanking God. And so the prayer journal that I did back then, I actually made it into a book for my husband. So when I don't remember when I gave it to him, but it has like all the prayers where his name is in it. Like, I gave him the whole prayer. I didn't like cut out the parts about him. Like, it's literally my whole prayers from those days with the dates and all of that. And it has, like, I had a list of, these are all the reasons why I love you, but it was written in like I don't know if it's poetic, but it's like, I love you because of this, even though this. So all of the love things had like a kind of not negative, but like something to counter it. So there was like, I see the good and I see what could be bad, but I still choose you. And so, yeah, he has that book. I don't know if he really be looking at it, but I should pull it up one day and see if I can look.
Well.
I think it's a good reminder. Like,
yeah, no,
this is what we went through. Like, look at all these things that we went through, the journey. Like, all of it is documented, and he has it. And yeah, that was how did I know that was the person for me? I literally tried to pray it away, and it didn't go nowhere.
For real.
I actually talked about mine already on the podcast. So it was that time that we went to King's Dominion and we were with other people that were speaking Spanish, and then nobody spoke to me. And I was really upset because I was like, but we all here like can speak English, and nobody is like
Yeah.
y'all just completely like disregarding me.
Mhm.
And then I told you about the stomach ache that I had. Or maybe I don't know if I did, but afterwards, like whenever John would like speak in Spanish,
Oh
then I
yeah,
would
yeah.
have the
You would feel.
stomach ache.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's when I really like knew because I was like, why do I feel this way?
Yeah.
Because I was like, don't nobody, don't nobody ever.
Affect you like
Yeah, I was
this.
like, I don't know what these people think they out here doing, but I run this. Yeah, but I was not
So
running it
he
that day.
thought.
Yeah, so I was like, ooh,
You might be in love.
yeah, I was like, I don't like this. I don't like this at all. I mean, and then John really like tried and didn't do it anymore. And like tried to make me feel as comfortable as possible. And that was kind.
Yeah.
But yeah, mine is not like I feel like it's not like a sweet story like yours, or it was like, yes, like I prayed, and then mine was more like, ugh, like got me.
I had pains.
Effie, we all
If that
have pain.
Okay.
Did you mention that you actually fasted and fasted like for a whole day to find out if this man was your?
I did a lot, and
Yeah.
and that's the thing. It is doc. I need to actually read that stuff because back
I remember
then,
that. I was like, dang, she's serious.
back then I was like I was a way better Christian than I am today, and I keep trying to get back to that place because the way God be talking to you when you listen to him is different. Like now I be struggling like, can you just help me out? He's like, girl, I don't know you like that. But we getting back. We getting back to it. We get back to it.
That's fair. For us or for me, it was. I'm an anxious person. I second guess just about every decision I make. I'm always overanalyzing, rethinking. Um, and some backstory. I similarly pretty much pray about every relationship that I feel like could be or will be serious. And for the most part, everyone I've always heard no. And most of the time, I'm like, well, let's give it a try. It could be a yes. We can change it to a yes. Clearly, it's a no. And then the one before, the guy that I was dating before Ronald, I remember praying about it, and it was like a no, but it was an annoying no because it was just like, just enjoy the process. And I'm like, what the heck does that mean? That's not, it's not context. And so the lessons I got out of that situation helped me to be more open and vulnerable with Ronald. And so one of the most notable things about our relationship was the fact that I felt so comfortable with sharing with him like secrets I had never shared with anybody. Like we built a lot of trust. He shared things with me that like nobody knows. He felt safe with me, and like for me safety is also a huge thing with people. Like if you know me, I probably always have a weapon on me at any given moment. So like safety, physical safety, as well as emotional safety is a huge deal to me. And with him, I always felt both. Like I can't really speak confidently about any other relationship that I've had where I've felt both physically and emotionally safe, where I didn't have to come in guarded or have in my mind, okay, if this person tries something, then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and then I can get out here. Like, I'm that bad when it comes to like anxiety and personal safety. So the fact that I didn't even have those thoughts, that discomfort, that anxiety was just like, whoa. And like when I really sat down and thought about it, and also after prayer, it was just like, yes, like this is the person. And I'm like, okay, God, to be sure, like give me some signs, give me some signs. And I can't really tell you the signs, but I remember in those moments, like, whoa, like this guy is like, everything just lined up. Like, that's really what it was. Like,
Yeah.
things were just lining up. Like, even though he was working during COVID in a high risk area, like, we were still able to see each other the few times we would see each other. Like, our schedules would align perfectly where in between, his work, we could catch each other on a call, or just catch up and talk. We had opportunities to hang out in person. Like, neither of us got COVID. Like, it was just like stuff kept lining up and clicking. And so having that peace internally that I've never had before about him, and also that he made me feel that safe, I was just like, if I'm wrong, then my whole life has been wrong. And funny enough, my therapist actually asked me, because again, we're working through my anxiety. He was like, is there any decision that you like haven't questioned, like haven't thought about, or like rethought, or, think you could have done differently? And I'm like, what's crazy is I have zero regrets about marrying my husband. The one thing I know for sure, the one thing I can say I've done absolutely right in my life was marry him, because it was just the clearest choice ever.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I actually prayed about y'all before presenting it to y'all, because everybody kept saying, why do you think they're gonna work? And I'm like,
yeah, I didn't see it. I was like, I don't know what this girl talking about. But okay.
And I said it when I was giving the toast at y'all wedding, I said it like, God told me this. Like, there's no reason why I should have even thought about it. Like, we had been friends. I had been friends with him for years and friends with you for years, and it never came to my mind. But all of a sudden, it was just like, tell them to be together. Tell them to be together. And I'm like, I mean, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, this must be it. And I don't know. My husband wasn't seeing it either until I started like really telling him, like, I don't think that this is by chance that these things are lining up the way that they were lining up. Yeah. And then even when I asked you guys, I felt like if it's not meant to be, they will both tell me no. And both of you guys are like, maybe. Because normally people are like, nah, I'm good off that. Or that's your friend. I don't want to mess up our friendship. Like, people always make some kind of excuse. Yeah. And neither one of you guys did that. Which I thought was like,
yeah. Okay. Usually I would be like, nah. And what's funny is it was more so my pride that was like, I'm not going to say yes, but I'm also not going to say no. Because something in me was like, don't say no, don't say no, don't say no. And I'm like, this man is not my type.
Yeah, but, and that was my thing was, it could easily be they're just going to say no. But I kept being pushed to ask you guys anyway. And I was like, it's something. There's something here. And it would have been a disservice for me to just be like, I'm hearing God tell me this, but I'm just going to ignore it.
I'm glad you didn't ignore it.
Yeah.
That's my best friend. And my husband. And my sexual partner.
Girl, delete that. Okay.
It's a podcast, it's a video, and more.
Okay.
So today's topic of the Marriage Be Hard book is Chapter 7, Fighting Be Hard. Because fighting be hard. Listen, when you are in a relationship with someone that is for the foreseeable future, forever, you live with them, you have to love them, you have to choose to love them. And you yourself are your own person, and they themselves are their own person. Fighting is inevitable. It is inevitable.
It's like preach.
Child, it's always going to be a thing. It doesn't matter how similar you are. It doesn't matter. Like, if you feel like I married myself, I'm sure you have fought with yourself before too. Like, it's fighting be happening, but there's always a way to fight fair, and there's always a way to respect the way, respect the relationship and the other person. While still communicating an issue or having a disagreement. So let's talk about. Wait.
My notes are all over the place on this.
Presenting united front, not dealing with conflict. All right. So, I'm gonna ask a question. How do y'all approach having disagreements in public? Like, are you one of those people that are like, okay, we gotta like just put it to the side so nobody knows and like act like we all still lovey-dovey? Or do you like still carry some of that animosity into wherever you're going? Or do you like handle it there in public and don't care who's there? Like, how do y'all handle like being out in public and having a disagreement or a fight.
Is a disagreement happening right then and there?
It could have
Or-
happened.
It could have happened in the
on way there.
car. Yeah, or it could have happened there. I know y'all seen some of ours just happen right there, and we be like, well.
Yeah, I've seen y'all, and I'm like, girl, get a room. Y'all need to figure this out and come back.
I feel like we do a pretty good job at like
Hiding it.
yeah. I mean, I know you like. I'm probably really good at just being like, just super pissed in the car, and then we get inside, and I'm like, "Hey guys,"
everyone.
Yeah. And it's like, that's typically how it would go.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen you guys tense with one another.
We typically, I mean, like if something is between us, we typically keep it like at home, between us, or
That's
like
fair.
if you see us in the car, like before, y'all like, why are they still in the car? It's probably like, what is happening? Like, but yeah, so I would say we typically would do it before. I think we have a pretty good. I mean, we've been dating for so long and all, and I
Yeah.
think with us, like a big thing, I think for us was just living in England together. I mean, because then you're like away from everyone else. So you kind of, it pushes you like to, you have to address stuff head on. There's no running. Like,
Yeah.
it's just us two. So it's
Mhm.
like, you either going to do it out and fix it, or
Yeah.
whatever the other
Another-
options
yeah.
are.
Mhm.
So I think we've learned, like, yeah, I mean, I'm sure there have been times where it's been seen. I mean, because both of us, you know, it might be, we might not directly address each other, or it might be short, and then we're still trying to figure something out.
Mhm.
But then as it goes, like, we'll ease up a little bit and then address it later.
Mhm.
I haven't noticed, so y'all are doing good.
Clearly.
I haven't. Have you?
Faking the funk.
I don't know, like because John stays to himself, sometimes you I guess can kind of feel maybe a shift in the energy, but for the most part you never really notice it with Shaun. Shaun always puts on a face. But
Yeah, like,
yeah.
you gonna see this, like,
Yo, I'm not phased.
like, nope. It's like, I hope you see the smile from across the room.
I don't know if I'm good at it or not. I feel like we disagree and we just.
I don't know. I feel like it's also how people are different in how they have arguments. Because Moyo be like, "I'm gonna talk about it right now," and we be like, "Oh, okay."
I've never seen anybody really get into it. Not like where it was a big
Yeah.
disagreement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that because I feel like my face tells everything, so it'd be hard for me to hide something that's bothering me. And a lot of times I don't know, maybe I've already talked about it or something, or like there was a time we were playing cards and my husband got heated for no reason because I be talking smack.
Well, that was the example I was gonna use. and
Yeah,
you
I
decided
talk.
not to.
I talk all the time, and that particular day, he just wasn't trying to hear me. And then the way he responded, I was just like, "Wait a minute,
Yeah,
like
okay.
relax."
Like,
And
calm
so when everyone left, like I brought it up, like, you know, that was really aggressive of you, and I backed off and didn't say anything because normally, if no one was here, it would have been a whole
Yeah, it would
it
have
would have
whole
been
thing.
a whole
Been going.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but because everyone was there, I was just like, you know what? Let's just be quiet.
I feel
and-
like y'all do a good job of that. Like it's never both of y'all going at it. Like if you are high energy or you hype, he'll meet you maybe like as far as volume, but then he'll like laugh it off.
yeah.
At least that's what I noticed. He'll
that's
laugh
right
it
what
off.
it is,
Yeah.
and then we always end up talking about it later.
Yeah, you talk about it
Yeah.
later. Or
Yeah.
I don't think I've really seen him have many moments where he's been like super heated and you've been like, okay.
No, that was that moment.
I wasn't there that time. I don't think I was there that time.
I don't know. You may not have been, but he was the one that was like, "Why you always gotta say something to me?" And I was like,
oh no.
"Okay."
It took you by surprise.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was like, excuse
Okay.
Yeah.
Excuse you?
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't. I feel like other people were just like, "Oh my goodness,"
Mhm.
because they know me, but I didn't respond. I was just like, "I'm not fighting today, not in front of these people."
Yeah.
So I just let it go, and I didn't let it go. I walked away, and I kept talking smack a little bit. I just wasn't talking smack
To
towards
him,
him. Yeah.
yeah. That's
Because he's sensitive sometimes. And I let him have it. But yeah, I don't know. Fighting is interesting because it's hard to, when you really, really want to get into something, it's hard to remember not to it's hard to remember to fight fair,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah. It's not the first instinct.
Yeah. So that's something I am definitely working on is think, calm down, think, calm down. Like repeating to myself, like, how serious do you need this to be? Is it even that deep? Like, what is your actual issue? And make sure I'm addressing that actual issue. And one thing I cannot stand is like saying you always or you never. If once I hear you always, it's a switch for me. I'm gonna be like, I always do something. Like now I'm really about to be doing it. Like I did it this one time and now it's a you always. And so those are like really triggering words for me. And so I make sure that I don't say it either. I'll just be like, why didn't you do this at this moment? Like, don't say you always do that or you never do that. And Joyous does that. She'd be like, Mommy, you always something, something, something. And she just using it as a, like, this
is a filler word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it still be like, girl, no, I don't. I don't always do anything. But yeah, it's hard. It's something that everybody just does subconsciously. Like you don't mean that they always do something, but it's easy to say, not knowing what weight it has for some people.
Yeah. I feel like we don't have a lot of disagreements in public. I feel like when we do, it takes one of us to kind of reel it back and be like, okay, we're gonna like pause and have this discussion later, kind of thing. Like somebody has to be the person to diffuse it.
Is there typically a somebody, or does it switch between the two of you?
I feel like 98% of the time it's him.
Not 98.
I'm gonna give myself a little 2%. I feel like 98% of the time it's him. Yeah, because and it's something I'm working on also as far as like regulating my emotions differently. Like I'm doing better, but for me in our relationship, my chief concern is that I preserve his heart, and how he feels and how he recognizes that I do love him regardless. Like I don't want to ever do anything to like make him feel less than. Like that's never something that's going to be my goal or like my objective. So I try to always keep that in mind. But funny enough, we had a couples devotional that we were reading and it was talking about anger, and he's like, yeah, I feel like, you could do better with how you handle your anger. And my first response was,
how I handle my anger.
My first response is, I'm entitled to being angry. My anger is valid. My anger is valid. I can work on how it is, how it comes out, because that's where it can become a problem, is how it's expressed. And I'm also a person that like internally has to process before I can speak. Otherwise, I don't know what I'm going to say. And so, yeah, I think how I process or how my anger comes out most of the time is me being silent. But you're going to hear that I'm mad. You're going to hear that I'm mad. Slam! Like, I'm just cleaning stuff real loud. Yeah. Putting stuff away. Oh, I'm in your space. Oh, well, I got to put this away because it's out still. So, yeah, I'm just extra.
I would just ignore you. You'd be real mad at me. That's fine. That is fine.
Yeah.
Headphones.
But I feel like he doesn't do that because a trigger for me is being ignored. So it's a slippery slope. If I'm already angry and then you choose to ignore me.
Yeah, I think there's just ways to be angry. So like,
yeah.
I remember before, this used to burn me up. If we would be angry, like mad at each other, John would do petty things, and I just like, I am the person where I'm like, we still in love. Like you can be mad, but you're not gonna be petty. Like we could go to sleep angry. Ooh, this used to burn me up. And I would go down every time, like one of us, we get both coffee cups out, this scoop of sugar, it'd be ready for you, like whoever comes down second. If I would come downstairs and that coffee cup was not there, and I'd be like,
That is literally
you want to see me
yes.
mad? I'd be like, I don't know what you thought this was. But what we not going to do is be disrespectful up in here. Because that is one thing we are not crossing the line.
Oh, you wanted coffee?
Oh, no.
The cup's up there.
I think one day John was mad about something. And we went upstairs, and then his window was closed. The blinds, the curtains or whatever. And then I was like, so you ain't gonna do mine? He was like, well, I didn't think about it. I forgot. Oh, you forgot? You forgot. Like, okay, we can forget now. And he was like, no, really, I really didn't think about it. And I was like, lies. All the lies. So I'm a big
Yeah,
advocate
also
of,
that.
you better keep respecting me. I don't care how mad you are.
I feel like that's
Like-
what he takes issue with the most is like the petty stuff, because I've definitely done that where like typically on weekends we do breakfast together, and I don't even remember what we were arguing about or what we were disagreeing about, but I was like, made my breakfast, sat
Oh,
down,
no.
ate it, and I was just like, and listen, what is it, Fishgate? I'm entitled to make at least one meal for myself.
Not Biscuit.
Get out.
That's not you giving it a name, and I knew what she was talking about.
I know. She said it. I was like, I know she did not. Not whole name
Like,
it.
share, and subscribe if you want to know about Fishgate. I'm only going to tell if y'all actually do that. So anyway,
But yeah, like if you would have come in, I don't know, banging pots and pans or whatever, that'd just be it. Like I'm always super even when I'm mad, like I'm still, jolly, holly jolly guy. Like if you want to see it switch, or it's like just serious. Even John be like, like a line has been crossed now, and then it's like, okay, let's
yeah,
let's fix
it's
this
different.
now.
It's different when y'all are mad.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
because when I'm like, ooh,
Like
but you
the
love
whole,
me.
the whole octave change, it just be super deep. Like,
Don't play with me.
not today.
I don't know. I've never been petty mad. I feel like I do things. I be not wanting to do it really bad. And my husband,
Okay.
please tell me. I want to know. Because I feel like whenever I say I'm not going to do something for him, I still end up doing it.
Yeah, you do.
I want to hear your story because I feel like you have one and I want the world to know. Because there's times where he'll be like, or where I'll be mad and I'm making food. I'm not going to not make him food.
Yeah, you don't do that. Yeah.
Or like even the other day when the whole bathroom situation and I was like, why is this here? Da 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 da. And he went off and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna leave this here. I didn't. I still did it. And I'm sure he got home like, dang, I thought she was gonna leave this here. I'm not petty like that. Like I want to be desperately.
You do. I was
be.
thinking about how you were like, I'm gonna take a picture every time he leaves it so he can see that it's
I
not.
took one picture and he was like, it wasn't me. Okay. I don't know what else to do. I can't be petty because you're not even letting me be petty.
See, I feel like I'm like if I'm mad, then I'll go like probably out of my way and I'll be like, John, I laid out your clothes, like, because we were running late. Just so you know, I'm still mad, but I was nice. But I'm still mad.
I don't do it like that. But I continue to do what
Well,
I
I
would
usually
normally.
take out his clothes anyway if we're.
I continue to do what I would normally do. The only thing I might not do is, I'm not gonna be extra affectionate towards you. That's the only thing.
Yeah, that's
I'm
definitely
not gonna be all
first thing off the
like,
table. Don't touch me.
Get out.
It's gonna be like, oh, are you still mad?
Mm-hmm.
Even though I'm doing stuff for you, don't mean you can talk to me yet. Like that's the only amount of petty I can really be. Like,
yeah, I mean,
give me my time to figure out what I'm doing, and then when I'm done being mad, I may let you know.
yeah. For me, I will still do, but I'm gonna be petty. Like I'm gonna make noise. I'm gonna find some way to be like, well, it usually is this, but actually it's gonna be this now. Like it has to be some way you're gonna feel it until we actually like talk about it. But also, like I said, like I have to internally process, and when I'm processing it, I always try to parse out, okay, what is me what is the situation, and then what is like an issue that I'm taking with him or what happened, whatever. And then how do I express that in a way that I'm not making it his identity, that I'm not making it like an absolute, like always or never. And like, we always have a talk before bed because we try not to go to bed angry. We really do try not to go to bed angry. That was something like my grandparents always would say, like, you don't never go to bed angry with your love. Don't leave the house without, making up. Like, even though, you may be angry, like, make sure you hug and kiss each other before you leave. So we really do try to resolve our issues before we go to bed.
Do that.
You say you be wanting to?
Yeah, but then I'd be like, I be falling asleep.
I'm still mad at you. I'm feeding.
Sorry,
Still
grandparents.
I'm tired though. And that's the thing. Like, I won't fall asleep. He's the one that's like, once he hits the bed, he's like, all right, it's bedtime. So I'm like, no, we're gonna talk about this. So sometimes like things get resolved, or sometimes we're like, okay, I see your point. Let's continue this conversation, but at least we're at an armistice where it's just like, all right, it is what it is until we can like really hash it out. But for me, I also feel like I don't be fighting over just anything. It's always somehow tied to a principle. That's really the only time I get upset.
But everything is a principle.
Yes.
I mean, I feel like if we look back in the past like 5 episodes, it's been like, it's the principle. It's the principle. It's the principle. I'm like, dang, can he not have a principle?
Not unless it aligns with my principles.
One thing I will say is, growing up, I didn't see, because they talk about that in the book, like how they saw their parents fight. And I never saw my parents fight. Like, I knew they had disagreements. I mean, everybody has to have disagreements, but I think, and that is how I am now. Like, in front of my kids, if I want to get mad and I see them playing, I immediately am just like, continue doing what you're doing. Don't worry about it. We'll talk about it later. Like, if my husband like walks up and tries to hug me and they're there, I'm not gonna be like, get your hands off me. Like, I'm just gonna,
that's actually a really
annoyingly accept it. Like, my face probably is saying like, bro, I don't know why you're doing this right now, but I'm not gonna do it in front of my kids because I don't want them to feel like, what's wrong with mommy? Like, because they will be the first ones to be like, are you okay? Are you okay? Is this and this? And I'm just like, I don't necessarily want to explain all of those type of things to them. They already get enough of like seeing people's emotions towards them. So I don't need you worried about my emotions towards your dad or his emotions towards me. Yeah. Because if my kids do something and I'm upset at them, I say, I am upset at you. And so they know, okay, this is what happens when mom or dad is upset. And that's all they should be carrying, like your own issues for your own things, at least at this stage in their life. I think as I was getting older, even though my mom passed before she really like started telling me some things, like she started to tell me like, oh yeah, like we used to argue like this. And I was like, oh, I never saw y'all argue. And things like now that I'm going through that I wish I could ask her that I can't, but I feel like, okay, if I had to guess, I would say this is probably how she would handle something, just from the little bit that I was starting to get before she passed. So I think about those things and I'm like, that's kind of how I want to be. Like, I never thought in any circumstance that my parents were going through any kind of rough patch. I never thought that they were not united in something. Like, even if I could tell like that she might be annoyed about something, it was never taken out on anybody else. It was never even taken out on my dad in front of us. Like, whatever they dealt with on their own. And they were the type to go in their room, close the door. Whenever they done doing whatever they doing to figure out what they need to figure out, that's none of our business. We doing whatever we doing. And so that's how I think that's a good way to handle it, because we don't have a lot of, at least I don't know about my brothers, but I don't have a lot of childhood traumas related to my parents. The only trauma we have is our mom passing, like, but that's not because of them. Like, that's just life. So I like that way they raised us in. You are a unit. Y'all are solid. Everywhere y'all go, people understand that y'all are solid. Like, I used to see like people try to jab at how close they were. Y'all always have to go to events together. Y'all always have to, y'all bring y'all kids. Y'all do this. And I was like, these are all positive things. What's wrong with y'all?
Why are you
Like,
mad? Why are you
people
jealous?
used to do that a lot.
Oh,
And they're like, are y'all, is that your shadow? Is that, and I'm like, I don't understand what the problem is. Like, we are fine. We are happy. And what, I don't know. And so even now, if I'm going somewhere, I'm always like, yeah, you coming with me, right? Like, this is what I'm used to. I'm used to the family unit being a family unit, not separating. And that's what I want to continue in my family that I have now. Not saying that we can't do things separately. Like, we do things separately. Like, now I'm here, he's doing whatever he's doing. But for core things where I feel like we should be stepping out as a unit, I'm going to make sure that we step out as a unit. And if you ever see him at something that's, or don't see him at something that you feel like, why is he not here? There's probably a very good reason. Like Easter. I know people were looking at me like, where's her husband on Easter Sunday at church? But no one would ask me, because I feel like they probably felt like something was wrong. Where normally if I come to church without him, they're like, oh, where's your husband? Da-da-da, where's your husband? And all the people who normally ask me where my husband on Easter, they were like, something might be wrong. So let me not ask. And no one asked us. So that was weird, but I understand. Yeah. I understand they probably felt like something might not be right. Let's not ask, because we don't really want to know know the truth if something bad is happening. But yeah.
You want to go or me?
Seeing how your parents fought.
No, they didn't fight fair.
They didn't fight fair?
No. No.
I don't think my parents didn't fight fair either.
I don't think that's a trend in my family at all. Like, unfortunately, like, I just think it's more, I don't even want to say it's more new age. It's just people work with the tools that they have. So I acknowledge that they may not have been taught or shown or had the experience to really know how to like fight fair. And I will say I didn't really learn how to healthily have a disagreement with people until like I was older, like in my 20s. Like learning how to use I statements instead of just like absolutes. Like, I feel this way when this happens, versus like saying you do this. Da, 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 da. So it's just like, okay, well, let me express what I'm feeling, what happened to me, like having that vulnerability and identifying it to express why I feel hurt, and not like making it their identity. But yeah, I don't think I had a great example of like healthy disagreement. Because even when it came to me and them, like if we had a disagreement, it would get to sometimes, depending on what the topic was. So the funny thing is, we, in all the time, granted it's not, I guess, as long as everybody else's, but as long as we've been dating and married, have ever like yelled. My husband has never yelled. I have never yelled at him, because it just doesn't get to there. And I think that was also something that I was just like, this is the person for me, because he's just kind of like even keel. Like he'll, of course, get some bass in his voice, a little more bass in his voice, and just be like, well, I'm like, getting some bass in your voice for. But I mean, I get it if it that he gets passionate about how his perspective, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna hear you out, and then let me make sure I deconstruct and not say what you're saying to me is not you accusing me or telling me that this is like who I am, but just something that I did or something that happened. So yeah, I think definitely like us having the tools that we learned, I guess, before we even really talked to each other. Like a lot of the stuff we worked out as individuals. And then, through all the conversations we had while dating, or at least trying to figure out if we even like the other person, we like kind of came across things like, oh yeah, well, usually when I disagree, this happens, or I learned this, or I learned that. So just like sharing our knowledge and what we know, what we've learned, past experiences was just helpful to us, and lent a lot to us having very peaceful relationship in general.
Yeah, I feel like it's y'all. I don't want to say started dating later.
Yeah,
I
we
mean, but like it
in our
was
30s, yeah.
and that
29.
you have found more so yourself and learn like different things about life and just
Mhm.
about just going through everything. Like when me and John started dating, I was 19 maybe. Yeah, 19. I know I wasn't 21, so it was either 19 or 20. um and that's like we had to learn a lot. I mean, I was just very young, John was still young too, so it's just like some things you just had to learn.
Mhm.
Yeah.
um
Mhm.
but like my parents, I mean, they fought. I don't remember too much how they fought. um I don't think it was necessarily fair, but it also wasn't horrible where I feel like I need to yell and things like that. Like I don't think I took bad traits from the way that they fought. I feel like it was kind of mature. Like they were trying kind of hide it, but then I was just nosy and I'd be like, "What y'all? What we doing?" Now I know me and my sister fought. Like you think TV fighting siblings? That's us. Like I never forget one day my sister. She like Hey, we were
Flashback trauma.
yes, like we were arguing. Um, she got like McDonald's for us, and her soda spilled, and I was like, "Too bad for you." Like I took my soda and my food, and I went into the room. And then my sister like, she was like, "Give me the soda," and I was like, "This is my soda. Like you spilled your own soda," and she dumped my soda on my keyboard. Um, and it was a wireless keyboard,
Mm.
and I was so mad. Like that was the angriest I have been like ever. And I think I was on the phone, and that was like the first time I think like anybody in the house had ever heard me curse. And it was whoo, that phone. Like I hung up. I think I was talking to like I was talking to somebody, and they were just like they called back like, "Oh my goodness, is everything okay?" Like I don't know what. Like I had never heard you like this, and I was like, my keyboard. Like I was so upset because the keyboard got sticky, and I was like, I can't use it no more, and I was
Yeah.
just so mad.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So we used to fight a lot. Um, but me and John, like, honestly, I mean, we used to fight quite a bit before going to England. I mean, before we got married, and then we kind of like tamed down some. But really, I would say when we moved to England, and then that I swear I mentioned the Enneagram like as much as possible. But
It's
that
helpful.
helped
It's very
us
helpful.
learn so much about ourselves and each other.
Mhm.
Like the reason why we would just fight about everything. Like John, he's a 6, I'm a 7. Jess is also a 6, and John and Jess are alike in a lot of ways. But like John is very like, all right, so this or that. And I'm like, you don't tell me what to do. Like, you're not gonna tell me I got 2 options. And he's like, this or that. And I'm like, the third one. He's like, there is no third one. I'm like, there's a third one. I don't know who you're talking to. There's gonna be a third one. You can't put me in a corner. And then so whenever I feel like trapped and in a corner, then I'm gonna try and fight back. So that really helped us learn like just about each other and ourselves, because I didn't know that I was like that. Like I didn't know it was a thing that was a really like a trigger for me. So
Mm.
that really was eye opening, and then it really allowed me to be able to see like, okay, I feel like I'm being um like you're trying to put me in this glass and I can't escape. It's
Mhm.
like, so let's talk about how to not feel like this, and then make sure you get whatever you are talking about.
Mhm.
Um, and the same thing for him. It's like, I'm all about opportunities, and like, there's so many different things that we could do. And I was like, if you don't just, I need you to pick. And I'm like, no, I don't want to pick. And he's like, please just pick. And then we would just argue about it because I'm like, no, no, no. Like, there's so many different things we can do. Like, I would say, oh yeah, I know we can do breakfast. We can do this lunch. We can go to this person's house. We can hit this party, make it to the movies, and do this all at the. And he's like,
In one
no,
Mm.
day?
yeah. And I'm
Mm.
like, we can do it. And he's
Mm.
like, Sean, I need you to like get your life together
Mhm.
and figure it out. And then it would just, I'll be like, I don't know who you're talking to. Like, I got this. So it would just be arguing back and forth, back and forth. But that really, really helped us just learn about like when we're in like a negative traits that we have, how to move out of that and just use like different things that we both excel at, and then like the things that make us us, like how to navigate around that versus being upset by it.
Mhm. That's real.
Speaking about like sibling fighting, my kids, I try to teach them to fight fair as much as possible, and I tweeted about this. But before we were coming here, me and Joyous are arguing about whose best friend Jess is. Just like, Auntie Jess is my best friend. I said, no, she's not. She's my best friend. So we're going back and forth, and I'm like, she's my best friend. And then both kids, no, she's not. And I'm like, Hezzy, you're not even in this. I was like, so Hezekiah, aren't you just not my best friend? He was like, no. He was like, Joyous. And I'm like, that's crazy about you. And then, so I just go back to like the same like little argument with them. And then he decides he's going to hit me because I'm not letting go of this argument. And so he just taps me, and I'm like, pushes the boy back. and then here comes Joyous. Did you hit my brother? And I'm like, yes, he hit me first. Like, just showing them like, okay, people fight, people play, but if you hit somebody, they're going to hit you back. And then she was like, well, she's like, well, don't hit my brother again. And I'm like, it's so hard to keep straight face with kids, but I have to keep a straight face sometimes. So I'm like, Joyous, he hit me first. And she's like, well, if you hit him, I'm going to hit you. And I was like, if you hit me, I'm going to hit you back. And then both of them, no, you're not.
Dang.
Come on, tag team.
I was these two are going to be a problem. Because how y'all gonna tell your mama that I'm not gonna hit y'all back? And y'all don't know that I fight kids. I will fight both of y'all. Y'all don't even know.
Oh my god.
But it was so hilarious. And I was trying so hard to keep a straight face during this whole conversation. Like, these kids be arguing with me like we the same age. And I just be like, y'all know that I can just pick you up and throw you, right? Like, you are a baby.
Like, I birthed you recently.
You're a whole baby. But yeah, it's so funny to watch like the things that they just are picking up on just out of what made you say no you won't, or what made you say if you hit me or if you hit him I'm gonna hit you. Mm-hmm. Like, those are things they are hearing from somewhere, and they could be hearing it from me, because sometimes if one person hits one person, I'll be like, hit them again and they gonna hit you back. Like, I want you to know that, but don't say it to me.
Like, anybody can get it then.
That's pretty much where they at this point. And I'm like,
I respect that.
There's so
honestly.
many things that you have to really be intentional about teaching kids, because they just pick up so much.
Little sponges.
Yeah. And even if you don't think that they're listening, they are listening at all times. Like, but like, oh, like earlier somebody said, the dog licked his butt and then tried to touch you. Is that what you want? And then someone was like, don't say that to them because they're going to repeat it. And I'm like, what's wrong with that though? Like, dogs lick their butt and try to touch you. That's okay. Like, I'm not someone who's going to shelter my kids that much. Like, that's normal. Like, if they repeat, dogs lick their butts and touch people, then okay.
Yeah, like, it's common knowledge.
That's normal.
So, yeah.
So I am not that, like, they are not super sheltered in what I will let them hear. And sometimes people laugh when they see and like see what my kids react to. Like, if they see something, they'll be like, wow, or like they're very expressive in the way that they do things, and people are like, what in the world? Like, why are your kids so dramatic? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know.
I feel like you gave them the safe space to be expressive and themselves, and like, while it's very contrary to probably how we grew up and how our parents grew up, it's, instead of having this respectability politics, it's, you have a voice at all times. And like, I feel like that was kind of lost a little bit with our generation. But what is it, Gen Z? These Gen Zs, they picking that up.
Oh, they know they got a
They
voice.
know they got a voice. So, they know. So I
Yeah.
think definitely like raising your kids in a way where it's like you have a voice, even with me. You are your own person.
Yeah.
I am here to guide you. I am here to help you.
Mhm.
Yes, I am the adult, and there are some things that you cannot do or understand, but I'm gonna hear you out.
Yeah.
And you're right. You're valid.
Yeah. I think it speaking about like our generation, there's so many things that I've seen just even I don't know too much like on your side, but for me and Jess, we've had these like blowouts with parents where
Mm-hmm.
they weren't expecting us to come back at them the way that we did. And it's like, listen, you raised me to be a certain type of way, and now I understand that I am an adult. Like
Mhm.
I am no longer a child who has to just sit and listen to what you're saying,
Mhm.
what you have to say. And you're not gonna just fight me and I don't fight back.
Mm-hmm.
So doing that in a way that's respectful, even though they're seeing it as you're such a disrespectful child and da 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 da. It's like
Mhm.
all I did was tell you about yourself. Like I didn't do anything disrespectful.
All I did was tell the truth.
Yeah.
Sorry it upset you.
Yeah, and so like really being able to stand, and that's what I don't want for my kids is for them to not be able to tell me things.
Yeah.
Like for it to
Yeah.
even get to the point that they're blowing up on me or like they've been holding something because they don't want to be disrespectful, they don't want to do this, they don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And now we're having a whole like
Rumble.
WWE fight
Yeah.
Mhm.
and it didn't even have to be that deep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Boundaries are definitely, at least in that situation, like boundaries have been a big thing for like, especially growing up and being a daughter. Like there's just so many unspoken expectations put on daughters specifically when it comes to parents. Like I don't know if it's always the same with sons per se, but with daughters it's like, oh, you have to listen to me still, like you have to, my advice is what's going to guide you. Like I'm grown.
I'm
Yeah.
like, are you referencing when you're older?
Yeah,
as an adult,
even as an
like,
adult, like it's like it. And I get like you'll always be a parent, I understand that, but there still has to be a point where you have to respect my decisions because
Yeah.
they no longer are your decisions and they
Mhm.
don't affect you.
And I think for daughters, it's not until you are married that you then see a shift, and it's like, wait,
Yeah.
you didn't actually respect the decisions that I was making, and now all of a sudden it's like, well, you're married now, so we all good. Everything is fine and dandy. like you were just arguing with me yesterday when I wasn't married. So what
Child,
changed?
definitely when you're single. Oh my
Yeah.
God,
It's
so
like
annoying.
you can't think for yourself. Now you got a man, so I guess you're okay.
I guess, yeah. It's like, well, yeah, I guess I will
Which
be,
is
huh?
terrible. Yeah, you're a man.
Yeah.
I mean, I've also been. I mean, me and John have been together for. I mean, it's
They had to
been
get
a
used to it,
long
but-
time. Yeah. I mean, since I was 19, so it's been quite a bit. So I
Yeah.
really don't like. We
Remember?
phased out of that. Like,
Yeah.
But I will say, I know my mom. She's very much so like, Shaun think he the dad, and I'm like, well,
Well.
listen to me. Like, I'm telling you, this is how things go. And she's like, Shaun, I'm still the parent. And I'm like, I know, but this is how things go now. So
Yeah, I don't think I would have ever been in that position to be like, listen to me.
sometimes I just be like, Mom, this is how it is now. So this is how things go. Like, I can't even use a reference to some things, but we'll just talk, and I'm just like, it could be out in public, and I might just say whatever, and then she like, oh yeah, I forgot, my dad is here now. And I'm like, well, thank you. Like, I don't know if that was supposed to be offensive to me, but thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. I'm just looking out for you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm like, you don't need them fries. Mine. They mine. I'm saving you. So yeah,
Fair. Yeah.
it's a little
it's-
different. Yeah, so I can see it definitely being different for boys and girls,
Yeah.
guys and gals, men and women.
Male and females.
No, I don't like using that. I'm so against that.
Yeah, that sounds like
Like,
woman. Winning.
Yes, I posted that on Instagram the other day. Like somebody said female in person, and I was like, yeah, I feel that. Where it's like,
I
I
feel
don't
like it's
know.
just the connotation socially, because me and Ronald were talking about that, because he's like, in the medical field, like, you say female and male. And I'm like, yeah, but outside of that context, if you say my female friend, it's kind of already coming off a little disrespectful. Just a
Yeah, I
I
feel
don't
little
know. I
bit.
don't see it.
I feel like you never hear people be like I've heard people like, look at them females over there. Like I never hear somebody be like, look at them males over there. Like
But
they
I feel
always
like
say
they would
like,
say. I feel like they would say, "Look at them boys."
which is still I think
But
better
if you
than
said girls, if you said, "Look at them girls over there," is it? I don't know. I feel like it just depends how you say it. Like some people could
Yeah.
say "woman" and it sounds disrespectful.
yeah.
It's just I don't know.
I just
It's an
feel-
I always
argument that
felt
I
like
don't want to.
female was, I mean, while it is kind of an adjective, it's still also a verb.
I feel
So,
like I
I
always
mean, not a
just
verb,
hear it in
a
a
noun.
negative
Sorry.
I
way.
feel like that's new though.
Yeah.
Is it?
It's a new
Oh
concept.
yeah, yeah.
that
It's still, it is
female
definitely new.
is negative because I
Mm,
feel like I
Yeah.
used to say female all the time,
maybe.
and
I think that's to the, well, we didn't talk about it on a podcast, but like what I was saying earlier, where it's like social convention plays a heavy part in how words have meaning and how those meanings can change, like to the point definitions will change because of how people continue to use it. And that's how like some definitions, like if you look up some certain words, like some of them will say archaic next to like a former definition,
Yeah.
and it'll be completely like outlandish, like that's not even related to the other first three that you listed before that. So
Yeah.
it definitely is heavily dependent on like just
Yeah.
social convention of and culture.
And then I've like this was so long ago. I was reading this thing and it was like, oh, like female is just trying to like, or when you're using female and male, you're categorizing like anything that has whatever, like female could be in reference to not only women, but it could be like dogs,
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
anything. And then the same thing for males. So
Mhm.
then it's like, well, when you're using female, it sounds worse than you talking about like a woman or
because
ladies
it's
or
specifically like a human.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
when you don't really hear people being like, "Oh, well, them males over there," or like that male. I
Mhm.
was talking to this male, like,
Males be like,
yeah,
yeah.
I don't know.
Always some tangents, but bring it back.
Yeah. Um, yeah,
Fighting
we can-
fair in friendship. That is actually a good topic. Like, how do you fight fair with your friends? Because it's not the same as a relationship, like a marriage or a romantic relationship. Similar, but not the same. So, how do you fight fair?
I'm trying to think if we've had fight. Well, we've had
we
fights.
haven't had enough fights.
Did we fight fair though?
I feel like we petty. We be petty.
But not present day.
I mean, a past day when we were still learning.
Oh yeah, definitely past in the past. I feel, and by petty, I mean in like the sense of like sometimes we may not overtly say what's bothering us, but we let it like seep, 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 seep,
Mhm.
seep. Like seep out in certain phrases or things that we say, or we try to express it, but it still comes off like, okay, what's really going
Yeah,
on?
like a jab and
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
forth.
But I think for the most part we're getting better at it. We're working on it. And it's definitely just allowing for that vulnerability of like, okay, this really hurt me. And then this is why this hurt me.
Yeah.
Like to say, okay, this hurt me. It's just like, okay, understood. But like, this is why this hurt me. It's like, ooh, now I know. And now I know how to care for that spot, that soft spot, that tender
Yeah.
spot, like, and cover, what may be like a sensitive, squishy thing.
And I feel like we don't allow it to get
And
that
yeah,
far
yeah.
where it's not fighting fair
Yeah.
anyways. Or like, and especially when it's friends, I feel like more parties are involved. So then sometimes there's more like people are more objective, I guess, versus subjective. Or is it subjective?
What do you mean in parties?
Like if we're arguing and then Moyo's there and she's like, okay, well, I think this is kind of how it's going versus like it's just
yeah.
objective. Yeah, instead of me
Mhm.
just like, okay, well, there's this, this, and this, and this, and then Moyo's like, no, 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 it really wasn't like that. Like
Like
I'm
being able to
from
see both sides of
Yeah,
it
like
because
a
yeah.
I know
third
both of
party.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think
Yeah.
that makes it easier when fighting with friends versus, unless you have friends that are just like, we about to go in this together
Mhm.
and we taking somebody out.
I'm about to rip you from the rooter to the tutor, and
Yeah.
we
Yeah, I feel
gonna
like
be all right afterwards.
I think I didn't used to fight fair, but not with you guys necessarily. Like if it was an acquaintance and it was
Bam! Wham!
it was like I don't have nothing to lose here, so let me say what I gotta say.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. That was back in the day. I don't fight with anybody now. I don't even fight with the internet peoples that be commenting that we dirty and stuff.
Right.
It's like, did you even watch the video? Get it together.
Of course not.
Leave my teacup alone.
But yeah, I don't. It's. I don't think and I think we talked about it in a previous episode where we said now that we have spouses to bounce things off of, it doesn't come off as aggressive once we get to each other to
Yeah.
talk about something. So that
Yeah.
helps a lot.
And I
It
think that
does.
we're older too. I mean, like we've learned fighting techniques that are more appropriate. I mean, we've learned ourselves and how to deal with our emotions versus just letting them go wild.
Yeah.
Like,
Or even just being able to facilitate for each other. Like you brought up that issue that you thought you guys had, and I was like, "This is how I see it, but it could be an issue. Let's just talk about it." And it was like, "Hey, talk to Shaun about this," and then she eventually talked to you about it, and now y'all are good. Like sometimes it's we bounce ideas off of each other, and we make sure, okay, am I sane or am I crazy?
Yeah, it's
Because
like-
I'm
Yeah,
seeing this.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But everybody's comfortable now to do that. I think back in the day, it's like they are so close. I don't want to say it to this one, and then they gang up on me, or like we didn't know who was who in our friendship yet.
how is it going to be taken?
Yeah. There are so many things to think about, and
We didn't trust each other as much as we do now. Granted,
Yeah.
yeah. Because I think we trusted each other to a degree. It was just that vulnerability part. Like
Yeah.
we still withheld a lot more. Like I ain't gonna be vulnerable with
Yeah,
y'all.
that vulnerability aspect that where you don't know the outcome,
Mhm.
but you're still putting your heart
yeah.
on the
Mhm.
wall.
Come
I
on,
talked-
Brene Brown.
Thank you. Yeah, I talked to a
Mhm.
participant about that the other day. So yeah,
Yeah.
That was good.
it was. So thanks for tuning in, and remember to fight fair and
Yes.
be productive when you have these kind of discussions with your loved ones and
Mhm.
friends, family. Remember to like, comment, share, subscribe.
Subscribe.
Yes.
Subscribe,
I always forget that
subscribe.
one.
Yes.
Subscribe.
Putting the button.
Yeah, it's there somewhere. Bye.
Bye.
Love y'all.